Obesity is a national problem, but in some communities the risks and the consequences are more serious. That's one reason why Boston students are being offered a free boot camp in the upcoming school vacation week. It's offered by the Youth Development Program on Mission Hill, Sociedad Latina, and joining us as our guest from the organization is the coordinator for the Health Educators Program, Tatianna Montanez. Thank you very much for being with us, Tatianna.
Thank you for having us.
First of all, even before this, there has been quite a good deal going on in terms of diet and exercise in this program, right?
Yes, Sociedad Latina Health Educator, the Health Education Program. The point of the program is to address the different health disparities in the Latino communities, but in the lower income communities of color in Boston at large. So we have a bunch of different campaigns going on at once, and one of our bigger campaigns is to focus on healthy eating and physical activity in Latino communities.
Now, I still think it's a common notion that people have health problems associated with weight when they hit middle age or get older. Why is it so important to be working on this with teens?
I think it's about developing healthy eating habits and just developing the habits to be physically active and working it into your everyday routine. I think it is a common notion that it's something that you should worry about when you're older, and that's what the health educators they do when they're giving their workshops to teens is to let them know that this is not something that you should worry about when you get older. This is something that you should worry about now. And I think if you watch the news and you're listening to all of the research that's coming out there, our teens, especially teens in Boston, are becoming more overweight.
And I think I've even heard that some people are coming down with certain forms of diabetes, for example, before they're even in their 30s sometimes, right? Yes,
I think it's type 2 diabetes, and Latinos and other African Americans and people of color are at higher risk for heart disease, diabetes, and obesity.
Now, of course, part of what's going on here, or I guess what's going on in lots of communities with teenagers, is that the way they normally live isn't so healthy. I guess they're into computer games. They don't walk to see their friends sometimes because maybe it's not so safe to walk. But how do you get around that?
So we try to address these issues, and I think violence is a huge health issue. We look at it, there's a lot of talk about teen violence and the impact that it has on youth, but it doesn't really talk about, or it's not talked about the impact that it has on just their well-being. If they don't feel safe going outside, then they're not going to want to go for walks. They're not going to want to go to the parks and hang out with their friends. And ways that we address this is that we give workshops, but we also,
well, you also have a campaign about soft drinks too.
Yes.
And some people say, soft drinks, how much harm could that do?
Well, sugars in beverage are one of the leading contributors for obesity, diabetes, and heart disease, especially among communities of color. They're extremely inexpensive, so for families who are on a budget, it's one of their only options if they don't want to drink water. And I think people generally don't think about all of the empty calories that you're getting from soft drinks.
And of course, once you get a bag of chips and a can of soda, it's hard to stop sometimes too, right?
Exactly. It's really hard to just stop at just one. And our youth, part of their sugar-sweetened beverage campaign is that they show younger youth and they show youth their own age how much sugar you're actually drinking when you drink a can of soda. And I think on average, a youth drinks about 8 cans of soda between 1 to 2 days.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'd be wired. So tell me what's going to be happening during the boot camp next week. This is going to be what, after Monday, of course, right?
After Monday. Monday is Patriots Day. So in response to all of the news and all of the hoopla about high rates of obesity among youth, our youth decided to come up with this event during April vacation because they figure April vacation is going to be a time where youth are going to be very inactive. You don't have school to go to, so you're just going to be hanging out. So they decided, well, why don't we have this boot camp where we can offer physical activity workshops, but then also educational workshops. So the physical activity parts of the day will be like Zumba, we're going to have yoga, we're going to have hip-hop dance, and we're going to have kickboxing. And the educational workshops are really addressing the whys. Why is this important? Why is it important to be physically active and in all aspects of your life? So how can being physically active help you with your relationships? How can it help you in school? How can it just help you just maintain a healthier life?
And of course, talking about relationships, teens, I'm thinking mainly of the High School Task Force, we're really out there trying to make sure kids get more information about this kind of thing.
Yes, and we're really excited. We have partnered with a lot of different organizations on this work, and the Boston Public Health Commission and Dana-Farber actually help fund our work, so they're two of our biggest partners. But for hosting workshops, High School Task Force is going to be hosting a workshop talking about their sexual education campaign and condom availability. The Tobin Community Center is actually hosting us, and they're giving us their space. Health Resources in Action, Whittier Street Health Center, Renewal House, which is a domestic violence shelter. They've all offered to give workshops within the educational.
Now this is open to kids from any part of the city who want to come?
Open to any kids from any part of the city, minimum age 10, oldest age 23, and it's completely free. We're going to be providing snacks and raffle workshops or raffle items.
How many hours a day probably?
It's going to be 11 to 2, the workshops, but youth are welcome to come a little bit earlier to hang out and to sign up for their workshops, and we'll be closing around 2:30.
Now, you've done a good job making this sound serious and important, but is it a good time?
I think it's going to be a really fun time. It's going to be time for kids to come, and they can have a safe space to hang out with their friends, to meet other youth. Like I said, we're bringing lots of different organizations together, and our last count, we have over 80 youth attending. So I think it's going to be really fun. There's going to be music. Our music clubhouse is going to be performing. There's going to be time for kids just to hang out with each other. It's going to be really fun.
Now talk about what's also connected to this way, and that's the health educators, because this is not just about kids getting to be more healthy, but also learning to be leaders.
Definitely. Our health educators, not only do we train them to address health disparities, but we're helping them to develop leadership skills so that they can bring this information to their peers and to everyone else in the community. So they're developing presentation skills, they're developing speaking skills. They've also brought this information to the attention of the legislators. We've had lots of different legislative visits so the youth can educate the youth can bring these issues to legislators and let them know that this is not just something that adults are interested in, but it's really important to them. They want to be able to eat healthy, and they want to be able to be physically active. But I think in a lot of our communities, especially communities of color, we don't have a lot of access to areas to work out. We don't have a lot of access to healthy foods. Areas like Mattapan, they don't really have a grocery store. So it's like, how are we enabling our youth, or how are we talking to them about being healthy, but their choices are the corner store on the street, or a McDonald's, or a fast food place.
Or sometimes the first thing you see when you walk into these huge stacks of Pepsi and Coke and...
Exactly. We've gone and we've done store surveys, and we've done surveys in the Longwood medical area, and we're talking the talk, but we're not actually showing the youth that this is important. We're not actually giving them other options. It's water or soda or what have you. And sometimes water can be a little expensive. Like, would you prefer to buy one of those little teeny juices for 50 cents or spend $1.50 to $2 on a bottle of water? And if you're a youth with limited funds, you can buy a lot more on the dollar menu for McDonald's than you can at like a healthier place. Yeah,
unfortunately. So if anyone wants to get in on the boot camp, what's the best way to get in touch and follow up?
The best way to get in touch, they can look on our website and they can contact me. My email address is Tatianna with 2 N's at sociedadlatina.org. And they can also come Tuesday to the Tobin Community Center from 12:30 to 2 o'clock, and they can just register on the spot.
Thank you very much for being with us. Tatianna Montanez.
Thank you for having us.
From Sociedad Latina. In a moment, we'll talk about dolls and Black history, but first, this message.